Okay.
Yeah, I saw your tree.
Minus one tree, but the hurricane's good.
Hey, could have been worse, man. My parents got stuck in Grenada for another day before they
Oh,
flew back
really?
to Miami, and now they're home now.
Oh, the wife and the kids just head down to. My parents got a beach condo down in Melbourne.
Nice.
So, and it's surprisingly, the condo is still there. So,
Awesome.
just me and the dog and college football all weekend.
What else do you need?
Crab Rangoon, and I got that too. So, it's on the way.
Chris will be home for the weekend, so it'll be him and I in college football and the dogs.
So, all right. So, I mean, what do you say we just get right into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Tim here with Darren. We are targeting winners. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Episode 71.
Yeah.
We're moving up. Whoa, getting up there. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you find your podcast. You can find us there too. Thank you all very much for listening. And if you're watching on YouTube, thanks. We appreciate that. Be sure to like and subscribe. And let's get into it, Darren. We got week 7.
We do. Did you watch any of the Conference USA Tuesday, Wednesday, or yesterday?
I saw Liberty screw me over. So I saw that game. I saw a little bit of Western Kentucky last night. Had a nice little showing there. Other than that, I have not. I told you I wasn't going to watch Wednesday, and I didn't. So
That's fair. I was flicking between the James Madison game, because Pete gave out a winner there on the under, and watching the Louisiana Tech game where I gave out a lean and didn't bet it. So naturally, Tech covered by like 30. So whatever. But I noticed, Sonny, I was talking to Mark earlier, our guest from coacheshotseat.com, and I was like, hey, man, looks like Sonny Cumbie might have saved his job. He gave up the play calling duties. Next thing you know, La Tech's got 34 points at the half. I'm like, holy mackerel. So after a couple terrible showings on defense, they actually played relatively well the rest of the way. So going to have to keep an eye on La Tech here. They looked like a different team last night, but doesn't matter. Lean was great. Didn't bet it. Hopefully, if one of you out there did, thanks. I'm glad at least I made you guys something because I just sat here and didn't bother to listen to myself. But anyway.
Right. Well, it's just Friday. Me and you this week. So, yeah.
Pete off his fantastic September is, traveling the world again. Where is he? Chicago to Colorado or vice versa?
He's I believe he's the keynote speaker of the National Association of Cat Enthusiasts, I think, this week.
That with a side conference on over-unders during the month of September.
I'm sure.
Who better to give it than him, man? He had a good month. All right, it's Friday afternoon, man. We got 3 games tonight. Let's do the Friday slate real quick in case anybody's looking to play any of this stuff. So we got 3 games tonight. We got Northwestern getting 10.5 at Maryland with a total of 45.5. We got ULV. Looks like they're laying 18.5 at Utah State with a total of 66.5. And Utah got 10 minutes from now, this line will be different because who knows what the hell Cam Rising is tonight. Last I saw it was -5.5, which would lead me to believe he's playing, but you never know with them as they travel to Arizona State. Total of 45. Did any of those 3 get you all excited or
not? I want to continue to watch UNLV. I every time I see the Utah line, I'm like, Cam Rising's draft stock just keeps slipping, and he might not even get. He, by all accounts, he's a great quarterback. Can't stay healthy. He's always hurt.
I got hurt at the Rose Bowl like 11 years ago. Now I don't think he's been on the field since. But I hope for his sake he comes back and gets some playing time, man. Like I said, he's legit, but just can't count on him to be out there. So I learned my lesson after getting lucky when they covered 2.5 against Oak State a couple weeks ago. I said I swore off betting Utah games, and even though DK's got a nice little profit boost token if you dare to bet the Utah game, but that did not even entice me. I did, however, before we start recording, I made a little less than 1 unit bet on the Terrapins tonight here. They're laying 10.5. Just simply put, I mean, I've seen a couple of Northwestern games. Offensively, they're still struggling, even though they've switched to their backup quarterback. Defensively, still really good, but really, really bad against the pass, which is the one thing Maryland excels at. Their top two receivers got hurt a couple weeks ago against Indiana, I believe it was, but they have been practicing this week. Yeah, 10.5 kind of get you off that key number of 11. So I fired less than a unit. BetMGM had a nice little profit boost of 20%. So yeah, just a small little play on Maryland tonight minus the 10.5. So even though I don't have that on the grid, I got that
Right.
rolling.
Take note, Maryland minus 10.5. I'm just watching UNLV for entertainment purposes only. So I don't have any bets tonight.
There you go.
Well, let's jump right in. You're all warmed up and going. You got Illinois and Purdue.
Oh, okay. So this game is weird. So I got this around 19.5 earlier in the week. The line started to shoot up, hit 21, 22, got up to 23, currently back down to 22. But keep an eye on this line. Word came out today that starting quarterback Hudson Card will not be playing. So they will be starting a freshman QB, his first ever start. So I would expect this line to move up once that starts to circulate amongst the public. This is basically just a straight fade of Purdue. I thought maybe last week with the new OC, they would show some signs of life. They put up a whopping 2 field goals on Wisconsin. Wisconsin, not the greatest offense we've ever seen. They put up 52 on Purdue. So Purdue right now, at least, is a train wreck on both sides of the ball. I don't know how Ryan Walters isn't on Mark's list of coaches waiting to be fired, but maybe after today he'll be in the top 5. But yeah, just Illinois has got Illinois is not an offensive powerhouse, but defensively they're playing a lot closer to their 2022 form. This is one of those games I'm not sure Purdue breaks 10, which means even at the current line, if Illinois can get to 34, you'll cover. Like I said, I got 19.5 early in the week. I would play this up to 23.5. I could certainly see a 34-10 win here. Just Purdue cannot stop the run. They are just terrible. They've allowed almost 1,200 rush yards on the year. The next closest team in the Big Ten is Minnesota. They've only allowed a little over 800. So Purdue's struggling hardcore on both sides of the ball here. So I took 19.5. Just a 1-unit play, though. Illinois covering at home against the Boilermakers.
Yeah, I can see that. Totally agree. Can't argue with anything you just said. It's one of those.
You can if you want. There's only
if I want to be wrong, it would make the show more exciting if we'd start to argue.
I only had one good week this entire season, so you're more within your right to disagree with anything.
Well, especially with this month, I wouldn't dare. We're going to go to USC hosting Penn State. Our old buddy James Franklin. I got a bet on this one. I have Penn State given 4.5. I'm looking at this. The turnover margin favors them. Their defense is almost as active. USC has more sacks. But I think the Penn State, this is one of those games where I don't think USC is up to the same level. So this is one of those games where if they were playing, a mid-level Big Ten team of last year, I don't put this as a game where they're playing a good team and they'll lose. So I don't even think James Franklin can mess this up. So I'm going with Penn State. A lot less turnovers with Penn State also. And I think they can cover the 4.5 here. I almost played the over too.
Yeah, I went back and forth on this game multiple times. When I first looked at it, USC was getting 5.5, and I was a little intrigued, but like you broke it down. Once you do break it down, you do see that Penn State really is a much better team here on both sides of the ball. Nick Singleton might be coming back, running back for Penn State. That'll certainly help. USC's defensive line, even though they do have a lot of sacks, they're starting to struggle their last 2 games against Michigan and against Minnesota. It gave me reason for concern here. I think just Penn State is really the much better team here. I'm surprised the spread actually isn't going up. I get, the USC, they got a couple losses. They say, oh, well, they need this one. Well, just because you need it doesn't mean you can do anything about it if the other team is significantly better than you. We all know James Franklin loves him some point spread covers. Lincoln Riley slowly getting himself in trouble here. As well as he started, it doesn't look like things have changed too much here for this program. So I backed off, but because I wanted to take USC, but then when I looked down, I was like, no, it's Penn State or pass. And when you came out and said, I'm taking Penn State, then I was cool with passing because
glad I could help. You're right.
Thank you. No, you're trying to save me from making another bet. But Penn State's is. I mean, remember what they did to West Virginia? That spread kept going down to like 6.5 or 7, and they stomped them by like 3 touchdowns. So I mean, I just don't see you. I see this maybe a close game because USC kind of does have to have it, and they might play good in the first half. But I think the run game catches up with USC in the second half. Penn State pulls away here, so I agree with that bet as well.
Teamwork makes the dream work here. Now, this I remember back from our first YouTube video. I mentioned death, taxes, and the Gators beating the Volunteers.
You did.
And
we actually had a viewer just be like, no, not happening.
A very irate Tennessee fan.
Well, if I remember, I was in full agreement with that Tennessee fan, and now it's time for me to put my money where my mouth is. Okay. This game yesterday on 3 different apps had 3 different numbers. I saw 14, I saw 14.5, and I saw 15.5 on one app. So I fired on DK where it was only 14. I am laying this number with Tennessee all day long and twice on Saturday, which is convenient since that's when they're playing. I get it. All right, Tennessee went into Arkansas, had a 14-3 lead, blew it, gave up the game-winning touchdown to their backup quarterback. Okay, fine. And I get that Florida put a beat down on UCF at home, and I get it. Maybe this is where you just want to kind of buy low on the Vols and sell high on the Gators. First off, this is the SEC, man. I don't know if you realize this. We're only like 2 weeks into conference play, and Texas is the only undefeated Southeast Conference team that we have. I mean, when have you ever heard that? Usually there's like half a dozen of them still undefeated at this point in the season. This conference is just going to beat the crap out of each other all year long. There's going to be a couple of 2-loss teams from this conference in the playoff in all likelihood. But, I talked about where, just because a team has to have it doesn't mean they're going to get it. Well, Tennessee does kind of have to have it because they play Alabama next week. They cannot risk losing to Alabama and being a 3-loss team. But the thing is, Tennessee is certainly capable of getting it, regardless of what the Gators bring here. I think this is just a classic buy low spot on the Vols. I think at home, prime time, Billy Napier's been on the hot seat since like the end of last season.
Yep.
And we talk about it every once in a while. The style points matter. And, Tennessee, that loss at Arkansas, that's not a good loss. I mean, Arkansas is not that great of a program. And even talking about Bama losing to Vandy, that is not a good loss either. So one of these teams, when they play in 2 weeks, is going to have at least 2 losses. So Tennessee cannot afford to slip up. They have the talent to steamroll the Gators here. I expect Nico to have a nice big bounce back game here in prime time. Expect his Heisman odds to drop. He's going to have himself a coming out party here. I agree with the viewer who is very anti-Gator.
Yeah, I was trying to look it up. I lost it.
I get that the Gators play Tennessee tough all the time, but these two there's just so much more talent on Tennessee than there is on Florida, and I just think that Tennessee's gonna, what do they say, take him to the woodshed. This could get ugly. I mean, I laid 14. I'd go up to 16.5 if you don't want to take that key number 17 should the line start to move. I think DraftKings actually has 14.5 today, so it's already started to move there, but This has got epic beatdown written all over it, and
it sure does. It's probably going to happen, but don't be surprised if it doesn't.
Oh, I'm not going to because I trust your Southeast Conference knowledge because you've been living there forever. I get it, but Tennessee has got to come out with a big effort here. They're already a 2.5-point dog at home against Bama for next week, so.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love nothing more than to watch the Gators just get the snot kicked out of them. But
tune in Saturday night, my friend. Because I think you'll have some.
But something they just love to do is when you least expected to showing up and just beating somebody, then they got to listen to all their fans talk for the next week and a half. So it's just
I think this could get ugly.
Well, I wouldn't mind the dog walk, but we'll see what happens.
Let's see. I'm still in agreement with the YouTube viewer who commented.
I forget. I had his. It was like
I can find it, but I don't.
It was like a bunch of number. It was like Mike something, Dusty something, 4847 pi r squared. It was one of those
out there. He's probably marked this on his calendar after you talked.
He's
like Gator smack. So if he's out there, I'm sure he'll be commenting Saturday night about 11 p.m. when Tennessee wins this one like 48-17.
Yeah, I'll make sure my laptop's open. So, well, if you've been watching on YouTube, you've been probably seeing me scrambling, looking for some notes. We just went through the hurricane. The hurricane must have taken my notes on this game, but it's Memphis and USF. All I remember seeing is that Memphis does take care of the ball. They do not have very many turnovers this year. They've had a couple fumbles, but I believe they only lost one. I think they had 3 fumbles. They only lost one all year. I remember seeing South Florida, they put the ball on the ground more often than coaches would care to have. And I remember seeing a lot of USF's, the good parts of their stats came against, Bethune-Cookman, and I think they played Southern Miss. And against all the other teams, the stats were not good. Memphis is a good team. They had 1 blemish against Navy, but Navy's also undefeated. So I think I have 2 bets on this game. I believe I took the over, and I took the I believe it was -6.5. We put that up there. Or was it? Which game was that? Yeah, -6. So yeah, I got the -6, and I also have the over in this game. Did not parlay it, so Paul, calm down. I'm not going to parlay it. But yeah, so I got 2 plays. 2 of my 3 plays are on this game, and for some reason, my notes flew away. But that's what I have. It basically comes down to taking care of the ball, and Memphis just being a lot better of a team, kind of like the Tennessee-Florida.
Yeah,
thing,
I like
no
the
matter
Memphis
where this
play
game
here.
is.
I actually remember texting earlier in the week that like, oh man, I think I really like this one too. I might go play it. And then I went to pull it up on the apps, and they were all 7.5. So I was like, okay, screw it. I lost the best number. I guess I won't be playing this one with Tim either. So I left it alone. I do think Memphis is the much better team here. South Florida's starting QB, supposedly a couple weeks ago after the game, was seen in a walking boot. I don't know how true that is. I do see on an injury report he's day to day. I don't even know if he's going to play or not. If he plays, that certainly will help the over. But if not, he's probably not 100%. I think Memphis could walk away with this one easy. I would just worry a little bit about the total, just because I don't know USF's quarterback status. But Memphis covering 6, I agree with completely.
You said the word.
What?
Easy.
Well,
you said the E word.
You jinxed me more than enough times, so I mean, I know you're right.
All right, we're going to go right on with our last play for us anyway. Pitt and Cal. Take it away.
Okay. I like this one only because, first of all, Pitt is still an offensive machine for whatever reason. Rodney Hammond in his first game back since being reinstated. Not a lot of action, but he didn't need to because Desmond Reed is insane. He had like 11 catches in addition to his rush yards. He's definitely the number 1 running back there, but a healthy Rodney Hammond with a game under his belt can certainly help this offense. Not that it really needs any at this point in the season. This is a really tough spot for Cal. I mean, we all remember the Miami game last week. They were fired up for this like a week before the game even happened. College game day was there. Got that big 35-10, whatever lead it was in the third quarter.
Oh, yeah.
And then all hell broke loose, and they lost the game. Then on top of that, so you got to come back emotionally from that after you put in an entire week of getting ready for the Miami game. Now you got to travel 2,500 miles across the country to go play Pitt and their insane offense. Just a really tough spot for Cal. I got 3.5. I was hoping for 3, but I don't know if you factor in everything going on, if that's going to get to 3. If it does, and I'm wrong, whatever, I think Pitt can win this by at least 4. Just it's not even so much Pitt. It's like this is just a really tough spot for Cal. I mean, you're asking 18 to 23-year-old kids to come back after a game like that against Miami. I just don't know. They might be competitive early on, but I think eventually they're just worn out, man, emotionally and maybe even physically. So give me Pitt, lay the 3.5, just a 1-unit play. Just a really, really bad spot for Cal here. Oh, yeah. And something else, an interesting fact. We talk about the travel a lot. I was reading some article today It was Big Ten specific, but they had said that 9 times this year, if a team has traveled more, at least 2 time zones away to play a game, those teams straight up are 1-8. So if you're ever wondering if the travel is really a legit thing, at least in the Big Ten it is. I haven't found anything about the ACC, but I would imagine it's probably the same all around. But yeah, Big Ten teams traveling. And I know that doesn't bode well for the Penn State play, but I think Penn State is the one game where it worked was Indiana traveling to UCLA, and Indiana is far superior to UCLA, like I think Penn State is to USC. So I didn't give you that trend to make you worry. I was just like,
no, I never heard of teams against the time zones.
There you go. Two time zone minimum or more. Not good for the most part. But
I'm so glad I did not stay up to watch that Miami Cal game.
Oh, I fell asleep. I went to bed thinking, great, Miami loses. Vatek be tied in the conference with the team they lost to. BS call, by the way. But yeah, crazy. Tough. And again, tough spot, which is why when this spread came out at 3, I was like, should I just jump on this? Did like somebody from Pitt get hurt? And then when it went to 3.5, I was like, okay, I'm just going to snag this now before it gets to 4. I don't know if it does, but I don't care.
Yeah, I had to go to bed. For some reason, I don't know why. They tricked me. My buddy called, said he needed a sub for a hockey league on Sunday. He was, okay, it's at 6:15. Great. He calls me back. It's a.m. I was like, oh, man.
Yeah, I think that game ended like after 2:00 in the morning Eastern time. So, yeah, you're lucky.
Oh, yeah. I saw part of the first quarter, and then when the alarm set for 5, you got to never make that mistake again. Let's go to the RPO, wanna?
Yeah, let's do it. A lot of good games this week, in case you weren't paying attention.
First up, the hot seat game of the week. Shout out to Mark.
Mark agrees with this play. We are putting Trent Dilfer in the spotlight after he gave up 70 plus against whoever the heck they got.
Who the hell is Mel Kiper anyway?
I don't know, but yeah, Trent Dilfer's program's in as much trouble as Purdue here, getting 26.5 at Army. I can't bet this game because I live in New York, and that's where Army resides. If I had to, I would probably, I don't know what I would ever think I would ever say that, yeah, I'm going to take Army to cover 26.5 because Army usually doesn't score 26.5, but it's Army or pass here for me if I could bet it.
Well, I'm passing just because the last time I gave 20 points or more, it was the upset of the century last week, Vanderbilt and Alabama. So
it's fair.
I'm passing. It's going to be hard for me to give 20 points to anybody, even a team that's coached by Trent Dilfer. So, I'll pass on this one. We got Washington at Iowa. Ooh.
I feel like I kind of got a grip on Washington. I bet against them against Rutgers in one, and I bet on them against Michigan in one. So I feel like I'm kind of like a husky whisperer here of some sort. That being said, I could not pass on this game any faster if I tried.
If it was a little higher, I may go Washington, maybe 3, maybe even like 3.5 to 4. But I don't trust.
What's a good thing to look at, and I haven't fired on any of these bets. Usually, when road teams are like underdogs of like 4 or less, sometimes I'm inclined to do a money line play. Because you figure that 3-point spread is just because they're on the road. But
now let's do the time zone thing. Is Washington? Is that 2 time zones to Iowa?
Probably. And it's the Big Ten, so it's a good one to watch to see if the trend holds.
So the road teams are 1-8. So you know what?
The teams that have to travel are 1-8. So if you believe that stuff, you're probably playing Iowa.
Well, let's give it a try. I'll fire a unit on Iowa just for shits and giggles.
Oh, look at
there we go. 1-8. Hey, there's something to that. So put me down.
Technically, you already have a bet on that by Penn State. Are you sure you want to throw 2 games?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, maybe you should just let that one go.
That's bucking the system. See, now you're messing with my mind here.
Well,
that's not hard to do.
I've never been much of a trends guy, but I don't know if that's so much as a trend. When it happens 8 out of 9 times, is that really a trend anymore? I don't know.
So that's 2 times if they travel more than 1 time
minimum of 2 time zones. So if you go from
Western
Central to Pacific,
Mountain to Central,
Eastern
that's
to
2.
Mountain, that's if Iowa's Central to Mountain,
I think
Mountain
they're
to
Central.
Mountain to Pacific. Well, if they are, then that's 2 time zones. So Washington would be a play against if you were following that one trend.
All right. Stanford at Notre Dame.
Hey, you forgot the Red River Rivalry.
Where?
And I put it in purple. What the hell's the matter with you?
Yes.
That's the big one. I don't know how Texas doesn't steamroll here. Oklahoma's got so many problems on offense. And revenge factor if you're into that kind of thing. I remember last year, Texas had 3 turnovers. Oklahoma had none. Oklahoma beat them with like 10 seconds to go. Yeah, Texas probably names their score here. I'm not betting it, but because this game, any weird kind of crap can happen every year. Texas would pass here.
Yeah, I agree. Just a little side note. If anyone listens to ESPN's podcast, they had a great one on this morning about Barry Switzer had a long-lost daughter that he never knew that he had. And he finally met her after a few years, and they get along great. He has 3 more grandchildren that he met and everything. And they were talking to the guy who broke the story, and he's talking to the daughter, and he said, yeah, I never knew my father. And she goes, well, keep looking. He might be Mike Ditka. But side note, it's a very good podcast. It's a good listen. So now Stanford, Notre Dame, your national championship bet.
Yeah. I can't bet Notre Dame here.
Again, 2 time zones.
Yeah. I mean, off the bye. And this is Stanford's, I believe, 3rd time in 4 weeks that they've had to travel. Because then, they go to Syracuse a few weeks ago, and then Clemson, like the week after that, like 8 days later. Now they have to come out to Notre Dame. I believe this is their 3rd long-ass trip in like the last 4 weeks, which is not a good spot for them. Honestly, I'm passing. I just need Notre Dame to win the game. They didn't even play and moved up like 5 spots in the rankings, so they're on the edge of playoff eligibility. I know they're going to screw it up somewhere at some point, but hopefully not this week. So I'm passing here hardcore and just hoping that the Fighting Marcus Freemans get the win.
Right. I am with everything we've talked about, but the 23-point, I'm leaning Notre Dame. The 23 points is scaring me, but strong lean to Notre Dame. Arizona at BYU. Arizona getting 3.
It depends what Arizona team shows up.
Right? I was just going to say.
It's going to be the team that gave up almost 40 to New Mexico, or it's going to be the team that beat Utah. I mean, BYU is playing some legit football. Retzlaff, their QB, is having a great season. I don't know if Arizona would have trouble playing in that elevation. They're West Coast. Maybe they will. I don't know. Arizona reminds me of Oklahoma State of last year. You don't know what the hell team you're going to get. I learned my lesson from them last year, Oak State, that is. I'm not passing on this game easily.
That's not a easy pass for me, but if I'm going to run, I'm going to run with BYU. That's big lean for BYU, yeah. Washington State, Fresno State, the other FSU. Oof.
You know what? Even though, I kind of like Fresno on the money line here. I don't want to use the word fraudulent when describing Washington State. I just don't know if they're as legit as that 4-1 record, or whatever their record is. I think it is 4-1. Would lead you to believe. I mean, Fresno State preseason still was that second choice to win the Mountain West. They haven't looked like it yet, but this might be the game. I mean, if it's 3.5, I would take the 3.5. If it goes down to 3, you might as well just play the money line and get a better number. But I'm not betting it.
I agree with that.
Here.
Definitely agree with that. Yeah, if you're going to get 3, just play the money line.
Yeah,
absolutely. I like this game.
I can't imagine why. Is this an important game? I help me out there.
Ohio State at Oregon. Again, 2 time zones. Here we go. That's good. I'm gonna watch that every morning now.
Yeah, this line's all over the place. It was 3 when I made this graphic. It might be something different by game time. I mean, again, I'm not betting it. This one, I will be home, probably with my son and a frozen pizza. Just flipping between this and the Tennessee game. I mean, I bet on Ohio State to win the national title like 90 minutes after Nick Saban retired. So I mean, obviously, I'm pulling for Ohio State here, but I don't think a loss really hurts either team's chances of getting in the playoff. I mean, unless they lose like 45-6 or something. Um, but I mean, this is a huge game if you want to play in the Big Ten title game because Indiana is kicking some serious tail this year. Right now Indiana looks like they're going to make the Big Ten title game, so a big game for that if you've got a future a Big Ten champion. I don't know, man. Will Howard has been asked to do a lot, and I don't think they're going to ask him to do a whole lot here. You got two really good running backs.
I was going to say they're going to run the ball a lot.
You saw what Genty did to them back in week 2 when the Boise State visited Oregon. Oregon was lucky to get out of a win there. I mean, I don't know. I watched a little bit of Oregon, Michigan State last week. They started too late. I can only watch like the first half, but Gabriel had a couple of picks in the first half. The offense just is not. I don't think the offense is where any fans of Oregon want it to be. But on the flip side, I don't think Ohio State's really where Buckeye fans think Ohio State should be either. But
I may run to the under actually in this game.
That's a possibility.
What's it like?
I don't even know what it is. Oh, I'll let you know.
I mean, if it's anything in the 60s, I would go under.
Let's see. And you can get a nice profit boost on this game for FanDuel if you are interested in playing it.
Hard Rock Bets, if anyone's in Florida listening here, they're pretty generous with their profit boost too.
Are they? That's cool.
Yeah.
I still got Ohio State at 3 and a total of 54. Juice to the over, believe it or not, if you're looking at under there.
Ooh, 50-ish.
Yeah, this is a sports bar game for me. And as you know, there's one around the corner.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to sit in my nice, comfy house, and I'm just going to love watching this. Yeah, I mean, I'll probably watch this more than the Tennessee game, and I actually have money on Tennessee. But of course, I'm also expecting Tennessee to be walking away with this at the end of the third quarter. So, total pass here. This is. I'm a fan first, and that's how I'm treating this game. But I want Ohio State to win, obviously.
Yeah, I was thinking over until you said it was 54, so now it's a hard pass on me. Ole Miss at LSU. Is that minus 3.5?
Gosh, no, I don't want anything to do with this at all.
No, I do not trust Lane Kiffin.
I can't trust LSU. Brian Kelly and Lane Kiffin. I mean, geez, two of the biggest egomaniacs in college football going against each other. It's gonna be who could do something more stupid to try and show up the other one. I think there's going to be points.
There'll be points for sure.
This could be a last team with the ball gets it done, but again, another fun game to watch. No bet for me here.
Yeah, I'm passing on this one. This next one is interesting. Vanderbilt at Kentucky, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, off the upset of the year. And they're still getting 2 touchdowns. About.
You thought Cal was a letdown spot? The only reason this isn't higher is because Kentucky has no offense whatsoever. But I mean, if you're Vanderbilt, how are you still not hungover at this point? I mean, are the goalposts still in the river, or did they finally fish them out?
It's a road game. They got another week to get them back in.
Oh, well, that's good. They can order some new ones. But I don't know how Vanderbilt even gets up for this. I would avoid this at all costs as well.
It's fun when they storming the field and they take the goalpost down. I remember that happened at FSU when we beat Florida back in 9. And one of my roommates was taking the bus home. We looked in the truck he's looking out the window. He saw part of the goalpost like in the back of a truck. And my roommate came home. He had one of the pylons because we got onto the field and he got home. I came home when the pylon was sitting on the coffee table in the middle of the. So, fun time, man. College is fun, man. You pull off a big win. Way to go. Last one, Kansas State, Colorado. Oof. Well, I got a bet on Colorado.
Yeah, that bet's looking good, man. With each
Plus 4,000. I'm loving that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. This is a game that, like, and I'm waiting for for Cinderella here to hit 12 and Deion Sanders to turn back into a pumpkin here for the wheels to fall off Colorado. But I don't know, man. I mean, last time Kansas
They got
State
the best player in the country.
Yes, they do.
I mean, that kid's incredible.
The last time Kansas State went on the road, they got smacked around by BYU. But I don't know how they're doing it, man. They got no offensive line and no defense, but they're still winning. And this line's dropped. There's a lot of money coming in on Colorado here. So if Colorado wins, this is the same thing with the Fresno State game. If this got down to 3, hell, take Colorado on the money line. Why not?
Yeah, I'm going to leave it alone. But yeah, agree. Anything, if you think, the underdog is going to win, anything less than 3, just bet the money line. I think that's the best way to go.
Man. The Big 12 is certainly holding up as the craziest SH you know what T show. You never know what to expect. How come I didn't fade Oklahoma State this week? I'm making a lot of money fading Oklahoma State. I don't know why I didn't bet them or against them. Anyway, whatever.
All right. Well, Pete is not here, so his picks. He's got UAB and Army. He's got under 55. He's got the over of 48.5 for Texas and Oklahoma. And he's got the under 62.5, Ole Miss and LSU.
I'm surprised he went under there.
Yeah, really.
He's the Ole Miss guy. So, I mean, and, as you can see there with a win this week, he's 16-7 on the year. So, if he's under.
He knows his totals. All right, Darren, run down our picks.
All right. You love you some Memphis here. You've got Memphis -6 over South Florida. You also have the over 59.5. And you have got Penn State laying 4.5 over USC. Myself, I've got Illinois -19.5 over Purdue. That spread has gone up. Pittsburgh, bad spot for Cal here, lay the 3.5. And Tennessee, this is just going to get ugly, I think. Tennessee laying the 14, maybe, or hope so. Tennessee -14 over Florida. And I threw in a little less than a unit. Thanks to the odds boost from BetMGM. I am also laying 10.5 with Maryland over Northwestern tonight.
All right, and that'll do it for us. Thank you all for listening. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family. CFBdudes@yahoo.com. Find us on Facebook and Twitter @TargetWins, and check out our YouTube channel, Targeting Winners. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next week.